Here we are. Here we are.
Hey, good
Hello,
morning.
everyone.
Good morning.
And good morning, new parents. Doctors Tecia and Matt Abatelli.
All right.
Yeah.
Yay.
March
What a be-
13th. Okay, March 13th.
March 13th.
Yes.
Yep. Maybe a
Wonderful.
sneak peek.
Oh, there's a Bambino here.
he's asleep.
Little guy.
Sleep right now, but I'm a little hard with
Hi.
the
Yeah, it's okay.
Oh,
Full on baby time.
baby time. It's doing great. Life is good. A little tired, as most of you probably know. So,
you don't look haggard or anything though, either of you, so that's good.
Mm.
Yeah.
well, you
It's
know,
still-
that's one.
She's got that new glow about her.
Yes.
you still,
Mm.
yeah. It's only 3 weeks, so.
It's a beautiful time. Yeah.
It actually has been very, very beautiful in the sense that I did my birthing with the Monadnock Birth Center in Swansea, and I think they're also in Brattleboro, and they really helped me connect with me. And what's cool about it is not only do you get the prenatal care, but you get postpartum care as well. You get up to 8 weeks of postpartum care, and they came and saw me at my house after the birth. And every time they came in, they were like, "You don't look like you just had a baby." Like I got that from every single one. who walked through.
Sorry.
And it- Huh?
I was getting an overlap of because I'm trying to watch the live stream on Facebook, and it automatically, when I opened it up, it brought the volume in, but it's all under control.
Okay, cool. So is it cool if I just share for a moment just my birth story? Because
Absolutely.
I don't know if people really understand, like, you know, I think the misconception of a lot of the birth process is that it's a medical procedure and sometimes treated like a disease in our modern medicine world. And going a more natural route is very wonderful. I'll tell you that, like, and manifesting what you want. I'm a strong believer in manifestation. And so just a precursor to before the birth, even conception, is I had done a lot of work years, like almost 2 years before deciding to get pregnant. And I worked as an herbalist. Oh, hello.
JM, John Michael.
I didn't realize I'd be on screen. I thought I would just be like lurking in the background, but that's,
You can just, yeah, you can get yourself off video and stuff and
I
lurk.
can lurk if you want. I'm
Yeah.
pay no attention,
Lurk away.
pay no attention to that man behind the curtain.
But if you have questions or anything you want to add, we'll accept that. You're always a great person to add to a panel. So you're just kind of sort of out of context.
Where are
That's
we?
really-
There we go.
So anyway, so what I wanted to ask you, Tecia, is when you say manifestation, what do you mean by that?
So visualizing what you want in your process. And so it started with a lot of cleaning out of my system. I worked with a lady in New Jersey, and she did a lot of really good things, got rid of like some parasites, some fungal, some, you know, really weird things that you don't think that you have, and worked on that. And then I worked with Dr. Gene and his protocol, doing supplemental support to help bring my organs back online because things were saying no. And I didn't want my system to be taxed while I was trying to grow a child, you know? And so I worked with Gene and his protocol, and I felt like that really set my body up for success to conceive. And it was actually a very easy conception. We also did a healing retreat the weekend before. I will say the weekend before we conceived with some of our really, really talented and lovely network practitioners in the New Jersey and Boston area. And so we did a sacred transition so to speak, and then accepting of a soul. And then we conceived the next week because my body was primed and ready to go. And so that was really, really special. And then working with Becky, we did supplementation with prenatal, glutathione, getting vitamin D in the system. I think magnesium was a big saver on a lot of things, just support during the process as well, along with eating right, exercising, and of course, getting adjustments. So the process leading up to it was wonderful. And I feel like my body was really made for it. And I had no symptoms like the first trimester, no nausea, no vomiting, no headaches, no fatigue, like nothing. It was very weird. Like nobody knew I was really pregnant until almost the third trimester when I actually started showing. And I was working full time, and it was great. And then talking about manifestation. So I did some birthing classes, and they were like, manifest what you want your birth process to look like. And so I was like, okay, what I would love to have is I would love for him to be born. Well, I didn't know it was a boy. I manifested I really wanted a boy. So that was the first step. And so I manifested like I wanted it to be on a Saturday because I wanted Matt to have the weekend to join me in just being with our child. And and then I was who I wanted there. I wanted the particular midwives there, and I got 2 of them, which was really awesome. And my biggest thing was I heard one of my best friends, she's also a network chiropractor, and her first child was born in 5 hours with 2 hours of pushing, and her second child was she was in labor for 2 hours with 30 minutes of pushing. So I was like, I really would love to not have this whole 12 to 20 hour birth or labor process, because I had no idea. I wasn't afraid of it, but I wasn't sure what exactly it was going to be like. And so I was like, I want a 7-hour labor and delivery. That's what I want to do. I want 7 hours. And of course, you have no say. Your body's going to do what it does. And then I got adjusted the Friday before. He was born on a Saturday. And so this was Friday, March 12th. I got adjusted, and he got adjusted in utero. So everything was fully connected. That night, I started contracting around 7 p.m. and they were very consistent. There was nothing textbook about, oh, wait until, I don't even remember. All I know is the 4-1-1 rule. If you have like 4-minute contractions for 1 minute every hour or something like that, for an hour or 4 hours of 1 minute, I don't remember exactly how the process goes, but that's what I was waiting for. And all I know is I wasn't feeling great. And I was just telling Matt, I was like, man, I'm a little crampy, and it's just kind of tightening, and then it releases. And so he started timing it, and it was consistent every 2 minutes, about 30 seconds and then it gradually went up to 45 seconds, and it started really low. And then the contractions actually started to come up, and I was like, okay, this is interesting. And so I called my midwife, and I just tell her, I'm not really sure, but maybe this just isn't normal, and it's been pretty consistent. And so around 10:30, we decided to call her and just let her know. And she's like, well, just try to lay down and get some sleep. Yeah, the second I laid down, I was right back up. I was like, nope, body is not accepting it. And so we call her back at 11:30 and say, I think this is it. I think we're doing this, and it's consistent every 2 minutes. And so she's like, all right, well, I'll meet you at the birth center. I'm a little ways away, but give me this much time. I'll call you when I'm 30 minutes out. And so long story short, we arrive at the birth center around a little after 1 a.m. and he was born at 3. Wow. So literally I was fully dilated by the time I got there. So I just hopped into the tub, and there we go. And I wasn't really sure what to do. They're like, okay, you can push at any time. And I'm like, I don't know what that means. I don't have a sensation to push. I don't know what that means. And all of a sudden my midwife, she just out of nowhere, she's like, don't be afraid, just listen and accept, and your body will tell you what to do. And as soon as she said that, I let go of any notion. And I know, like, when it started getting really hard, I was like, I can't do it. No, 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 I can't do this. And then I turned it around and I was like, yes, yes, I can. Yes, we've got this, baby. We can do this. And as soon as I changed my thought and was like, yes, I can do this, because there's only one way out of this, and this baby coming out, right? And as soon as I was like, no, 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 and then yes, no, yes, yes, I got it, and it eased it, and then my body gave me a break, and then it started up, and then it let it, like, the contractions were much more doable. It like gave me like a 2-minute break in between the pushing, and then of course it was very intense. And he came out perfectly. He came out head down, face down. So he came out the way he was supposed to. And it was really like maybe an hour and a half of pushing, and he came out and he was really chill. Placed him on me, he kind of looked at me, and we were just like, wow, we're here, you know? And I mean, I'm not going to say it wasn't intense, because it is labor and it is intense, but it was so beautiful. And so, if you could say easy, it was easy. And I did it in 8 hours. And so I got almost, you know, I visualized who I wanted to be there, how long I wanted to do it, you know, what I wanted in a bath, and what it was going to be. So visualizing and figuring out what you want. And this can go with any aspect of life. So whether it's your job or your relationship or your money situation, it doesn't matter. Like, manifesting and visualizing what you want and feeling it, and like knowing that it can happen, can change every situation in life. And I think when it comes to this experience, you know, bringing life into the world, you can visualize and you can have anything you want. And so that's my story, and it's really awesome. And now we have little River Matthew with us.
Awesome.
I just want to say, when my daughter was born, her hand came out first, and my midwife said, "It's a girl," before she was even. That was really kind of a nasty comment. The hand is like, I don't know.
Why did she say that?
It's just kind of like the hand, you know. Come on.
No, I need to be pulled out. Can you please pull me out?
No, it was about the idea of, you will give things to me. Yes.
The handout. When our second was born, we used Monadnock Birth Center as well. We had, we were going to have a home birth though, and Castine had a 36-hour birth with Kieran, our first, and when she started having contractions and was feeling like we were getting close, we called, and I said, all right, well, I started setting up the bathtub, or the tub in our room, and I was just getting ready, and I was going to fill it up. I figured we had a little time, a couple hours maybe. And she called out from the bathroom and said, I'm having a baby. And I'm like, come on. And I went in there, and she was standing over the toilet bowl with a head, a little ways out. I'm like, all right, catch it.
My word.
So, yeah. So we didn't have a chance the midwife never even got there, but came out fast.
This was your second one, you said?
Right.
Yeah.
Unbelievable.
They tend to do that.
Yeah.
So I don't want to just, get into, this is terrible when somebody has a baby, then every woman in the room talks about their story, and it's like, but my problem was I had endometriosis, and I didn't realize at the time, but when you have endometriosis, instead of, when you get contractions, your cervix closes rather than opens.
Ooh.
So mine was really weird, but I had a great midwife and it all worked out fine, but it was long. But it all worked out fine. And again, I had great care. It was in a hospital, but it was with a midwife, and we didn't need anything. They did give me some Nubane, which I swear, if I could get my hands on Nubane, I'd be on it around the clock. Yeah, I mean, nothing makes you feel better, but luckily I
What is
did.
that?
It's called Nubane, and it was some sort of it just made me feel so happy.
It's like the pill form of laughing gas.
I can't tell you. It just was happy.
Happy.
Unfortunately, it didn't last that long. Anyway,
Yeah.
so that's wonderful. And I think, you know, my great, when I saw River last Friday, when you guys came in, there's nothing better than seeing a child who's born with true vibrant health, the way every child really should be born, to strong nutrition, you know, and lifestyle, and all the things that you put in there. There's no way, unless there was some kind of strange genetic issue that was really strange, that you're not going to have a vibrant child. That's the way we're set up. And you've done everything to support that. And I really liked what you said about you use supplements, but they're supplements. You don't put supplements on top of a crappy diet. You don't, you know, eat, you know, take out chicken wings every day and then take some vitamins and think that that's going to produce a healthy child. So it's that whole thing. And you guys did it holistically. You did it from every area. And I agree, getting the adjustment, the network spinal analysis and that kind of thing, to be able to do that to your child immediately, to do it in utero, to make sure that that's all going for you. I swear, I can't see how that didn't have a huge part, especially with you, well, with you, Tecia, with your labor, because your nervous system was going just as it should. And, you know, I don't know, I doubt there's very many women who go into labor in that situation.
Right. No
And
lines, no waiting. I mean, it was my body was ready. It was like, this is it. This is what we're doing. We're not going to like do it for a couple hours and then tease you and think that it's not coming, you know, like
Right.
Your body, when your body is connected and it's supported in a positive way, it's going to do what it needs to do, and it'll do it efficiently. It's not going to waste time, you know, and I've had a lot of, recently, a lot of pregnant women come into the practice. One was suffering from major vertigo and dizziness. And like, we tried to test her nervous system and she had to lay down on the floor during the exam. Like, you know, we had to take our time. And unfortunately, these lovely young women like didn't come back to go over things to see how this can help. And I was pregnant at the time, and I was like, I totally get it. You know, like, I'm 8 months pregnant, I know. And I just want to let you know that it doesn't have to stay this way. You can really get your body connected. And, you know, the midwives were joking about, they do group meetings and talk about the clients and stuff. And one of them said, if anybody comes early, it's going to be Tecia, because she's got regular chiropractic care. I guarantee it.
Yeah.
And so, and I mean, I guess you could say a week early or half a week early. Before I was like 39 and a half weeks. So it was really right on time.
Right on time. Right.
Right on time. You know, it could have been 2 weeks early. It could have been 2 weeks late, and that would have been right on time, you know? It's
So what
just
I would
whenever
I would like to ask is, Dr. Jean and Dr. Tecia, I mean, I'm sure there's plenty of work in your, you know, in the people you've studied with and all of your education. It seems like prenatal would be a huge, I'm not saying marketing, but a really big thing for this. I would think the more a woman could be getting this regular treatment throughout, and again, like you said, the day before you did, and you've been doing it regularly. So it's not like, oh my goodness, you never did it, and now you're going to get an entrainment. It's like,
Right.
you know, you've been doing it. And all I can say is, you know, the more vibrant health you have, and again, like you talked about preconception and all of that, that's huge. People pregnant, you know, your child doesn't start with, you know, when it's conceived.
Yeah. You know, a lot of people, I think, you know, because even getting pregnant for a lot of people is a challenge, and they go through these treatments, you know, in vitro and that kind of stuff. And I had a client recently, you know, that we started with, and, you know, the first conversation we had was, she's like, well, I want to get pregnant. I said, well, you know, you've tried. You know, the first question I ask is, why is your body not wanting to get pregnant? Like, what's going on here? And, you know, maybe we need to get your body so it is the right environment so that you can have a good pregnancy. Because if you try to force a pregnancy on a body that's not ready, that's when you're probably going to have some problems, later on. And, some of the concepts that came out of Dr. Tecia's conversation here, taking a holistic approach is just looking at all the things you can do to kind of stack the deck in your favor. And so if you can have a properly functioning nerve system and the communication, because obviously, this is it's communication in this process internally, I'm speaking, is just a major thing. And then if your biochemistry is off, that's going to affect it. If your mindset is off, that's going to affect it. I mean, we go into, culturally speaking, into birth as it's a disease. It has to be done in a hospital because it's a disease process. Like we've got to, it's just
Fix it.
totally different experience than you're describing here, Tecia.
I was gonna go into that whole thing that you just said, Dr. Jean, okay? Because this is what we do. We treat pregnancy and like a medical situation. So what's the first thing you do? You think you're pregnant, or you find out you're pregnant through a test or whatever, you make an appointment with a doctor. And you see this doctor, and now it's all about a medical situation. It's not. It's a health situation. It's not a medical situation unless medicine is needed. But no, we just keep up those prenatal visits. We go, we get our ultrasounds, we do all this kind of stuff, and that's all well and good. We also then, today, people get presented with recommendations that could potentially be harmful, medical interventions and things. But now it's all about, the next thing is choose your pediatrician, because life is medical. And now you get plugged into that system. With the well baby visits, they don't tell you anything. I remember the first doctor I saw when I was pregnant with my daughter. And he had a great reputation for pulling people out of preeclampsia, and all this kind of stuff. And I told him, I said, I'm not going to have preeclampsia. I said, nutrition. He goes, nutrition makes no difference. He goes, but if it happens to you, I'll fix it. And it was the last time I saw him because it was not about you have any power or control over your pregnancy or what goes on. It's a medical thing. And if you need a forceps delivery, I'll have the forceps. If you need this, if you need, you're in preeclampsia and about to die and you're toxic, I'm the savior. And this is how we're going about these things. And now you've got people who were not counseled about nutrition, people who are pregnant and are relying on the medical system. And if you don't want your child to have a hepatitis B vaccine 12 hours after it's born, you're going to have to fight. You're going to have to stand in the arena and fight. And so now we're doing all of these things, and we have taken a natural, normal process, and what should be healthy for most, the immune system, is so brilliantly designed to work off yours as the innate immune system is being formed. And just on its own, it will do that. And as we enter in these medical interventions that throw that off, that's why we've got a lot of unhealthy kids today. We have a lot of kids with allergies, asthma, ADD, ADHD. We've got autism off the map. We have,
Colic,
we've got
infection.
Yeah, we've got so many sick kids, and we go, well, that's just normal. And no, it's not normal. It's common. It doesn't make it normal.
Right. Amen. I agree.
Preach
Yeah.
it.
And they do that. I read a really good book through the pregnancy, not only the one that you recommended, which was right here, that Adele Davis. So Let's Have Healthy Children. This one, reading that one, and then also Mama Natural by Genevieve Howland was a great guide. It was like a week by week guide of what's happening with the body. And then what are some, if you're going with a midwife and natural, here's options that you have. If you're going to go more, medical hospital route, here are some options that you're going to be given. And she gives you everything, and she's not a doctor. She's not a nurse practitioner. She's just someone who is very passionate about having healthy kids. And she gives you an idea of the tests that are going to be recommended or options that you might have available to you, and that you can either accept or deny. And I'll tell you, we denied most tests. I did do the glucose gestational diabetes one, not thinking that I had gestational diabetes, but just on the off chance that something changed and I needed to know. And I went through the ringer trying to get a natural whatever it is that the drink. It's glucola is what the medical world calls it. And it has a bunch of additives and preservatives and just tastes apparently terrible. And luckily my midwives knew someone, a midwife in Maine, who was able to ship just a single serving of this like lemonade, glucose lemonade, which was like actually quite tasty. And she shipped it to me and I did that test and obviously, nothing was wrong. But I did it just in case. I did do the group B strep test just to make sure if anything, because they're like, well, if something happens after baby's born, they're going to go immediately to antibiotics. And if you don't have this test, they won't be able to know whether or not it's bacterial or it's something else. And so it'll just help rule anything out. And I was like, mine as well. It's not invasive. It's just a blood test. So, so I did do that. But I didn't do, I'll be honest, I didn't do the Hep B. I didn't do the vitamin K, and I have a boy. I didn't do the eye ointment. He's cleaning out his eyes right now. And one of the best advice that I was given is like, take some breast milk and put it on his eye and it'll help clear it up. And I did it yesterday and his eyes are fine. Like,
Wonderful. Yeah.
I know. It's just nuts because Matt and I were joking.
The eye thing was only if you had gonorrhea. And
right.
So yeah, that's what the eye thing is for. The silver nitrate is so in case the mother had gonorrhea, well, you don't have gonorrhea. But we do have some comments here. And I just want to introduce those. So first, deep appreciation for these conversations and both the knowledge and kind reminders of living life through awareness of connection on all levels. Common does not make it normal. And then our group here wishes to hear what your respective areas of healing focus are. Thank you. So yeah, some people tuning in don't know who we are.
Okay.
So let's start with you, Tecia.
All right. So my name is Dr. Tecia Abatelli. I am with the Cheshire Wellness Center, which is a chiropractic focused, evidence-based chiropractic technique that is not your typical what people think when they think chiropractic. It's not the twist, turn, rat, crack, pop, get you out of pain until you hurt again kind of approach. It really is a gentle touch to help the nervous system specifically unwind tension, because usually tension, whether it comes from physical, chemical, or emotional stress, from whatever, maybe from the birthing process to falling off your bike when you're 10, or a relationship trauma from high school, or whatever, or car accident when you're 30. It's the helping the body connect to itself and release tension so that you are more adaptable. You can heal and regulate things much better rather than just focus on moving a bone out of place. And so it's light touch. It's called Network Spinal Chiropractic Care. And yeah, and then we're on Roxbury Street with Rebecca.
Yeah. And I can say, because I'm one of the practice partners there, and it's really weird in a way. It's not shishi weird. It's just the amount of effect you get from this very light touch. So especially, I mean, it's great for everybody, but right, people who have shied away from chiropractic care because they feel like, I don't want somebody taking my neck and going, they're worried about that kind of thing. There's absolutely none of that.
I think the word you were looking for is magical.
Yeah, it is magical, but it's not
magic.
But it's not weird. It's not like crystals or anything weird like this. This is pure science. This is the whole energy system of the body. And it's based on the central nervous system. And it's not Reiki. And I'm sorry if people like Reiki, but it's not Reiki. This is not that. This is actually affecting change in your central nervous system.
It's a physiological expression.
Yes. Yeah. I am a holistic health practitioner. I have a degree in holistic nutrition, and I am an herbalist as well. So I work in private consultation with clients for all manner of health issues, be it cancer or simple wellness or whatever. And I also, I come from a strong compounding pharmacy background and got really interested in herbalism early in my life. And so we have a full botanical pharmacy here at Wondrous Fruits. And I'm on Roxbury Street with Dr. Tecia and Matt.
Yeah, and Becky, you actually take the raw materials and make your formulas, which is, you can't get much, closer to the, the core than that. So that's awesome. Well, I am a chiropractor by degree and also a practitioner of the work that Dr. Tecia was describing. And, I use that I take the concepts and the principles from that work and I sort of put it together with some kinesiology and some other tools. And we work with people more in like a wellness program type of fashion where we're trying to affect things clinically, find underlying toxins and underlying stealth pathogens and those types of things. And then marrying that, with concepts of stress handling and connection to the body and also education and understanding, what we can do as individuals to be more empowered in our own health versus just being dependent upon, us doctors. So, we use nutrition, I guess, as a big tool, stress handling and those types of things.
Dr. Jean, could you elaborate a little bit about, the kinesiology, the testing and the things that you do in that regard? Because that's quite, that's a precise sort of thing. Like I don't practice it because I'm not well trained in it and I don't trust myself. But that's like a real specialty of yours and people get a lot of benefit from understanding where their weaknesses are.
Yeah, I think, I got into it because, again, I started off with doing chiropractic and network spinal analysis. I was studying with, Dr. Epstein back in, I think 91 was when I first started studying that work and just amazing work. I mean, even the description that Tecia gave, it didn't really give it the amount of power that work has. Unbelievable. It's just seen so many amazing things with people. But I also had some other issues that, revolved around some underlying things like toxicities and things that I just couldn't quite figure out and get to. And it was a tool that helped me. And just, to try to help people understand how it works, or at least my perception and understanding is, if you understand acupuncture and that you have energy channels that run through your body, and when the acupuncturist checks you, they feel your pulse. Just by, putting their hand on your pulse, they say, oh, the energy is weak here. This is the spleen channel. And then they go stick needles in the spleen channel and come back 45 minutes later and say, oh, the energy is stronger now. Mission accomplished. And good things happen from that. So we're using that same type of thing. Instead of just checking the pulse, we're using a muscle test. And it's not one of these things where, it's like pushing down, but very lightly, just, it's an amazing, it's almost like how Dr. Tecia was describing chiropractic. You don't have to like wrench somebody's neck off to get an amazing change. You actually get more information the lighter you are in your analysis in that. And the same thing is with muscle testing. I can basically put my hand on somebody's, arm or whatever we're testing without pushing. You can feel whether it's energetically sound or whether there's some disruption or interruption there. And then, we can go around and just by putting a little pressure on organ reflexes and or acupuncture points that correspond with organs and energy channels. And if those areas are under stress, you'll get a weakening or an interruption in the energy. So it just lets you know, hey, the thyroid's under stress or the spleen is under stress. And then we can use these things called kinesiology kits, which are based on tone and vibration. And if you know in chemistry, every structure or every substance based on its molecular structure has unique vibration. And they actually have machines that can read vibrations. And you are a machine that can read vibrations. When you walk into the room and somebody's angry, you feel something, right? You're feeling the vibe or vibration that's created. So you can take a kit that has vials of a combination of vibrations from heavy metals or toxic chemicals or pathogens, bacteria, viruses, parasites. And when your body picks up that information and responds to it, you can tell which vibration is affecting a particular organ stress. So it helps you to just really hone in on what specifically are you dealing with? Is it mercury or is it aluminum? Or is it a parasite or is it a fungus? And that just helps you to just, and the same thing you can do with the supplement too. You can say, well, I have, for heavy metal handling, I have, a dozen different things we can use. Which one's going to be the best for you? I don't know, but we can sort of ask your body. And so instead of trying something for, a few weeks or a few months and saying, well, that didn't work, let's try this now. We can just hone right in on what is working for the body. So it's just, it's just a tool that I found that was really helpful for me. And I incorporated that. And, but I think, again, using all of our tools in a holistic way, I think is the best formula. It's a tool. It's like all tools. There are things that are great about every tool, and there are things that every tool doesn't cover, So
Right.
It's a tool that you use in conjunction with your other, with
Right.
even like you, Becky, you spend a lot of time talking with a client, and just by that conversation, you know so much. I mean, I know so much before I even test somebody. I kind of know what I'm dealing with right from the beginning. And so you put all that stuff together and you use that as just one extra tool to help you hone in on, what you're dealing with.
Yeah, that is excellent. What a great, excellent explanation. And it takes us right back to what is holistic? So people they hear the term holistic. Oh, it's complementary medicine, right? It's alternative. No, holistic means we deal with the whole person. We deal with the body as the arm bone connects to the leg bone or whatever, we talk holistic about how the mind works with the spirit, how the central nervous system, how everything is together. And if all you do is address somebody's health issues from a one-sided angle, you're not going to have a great result. You're not going to have the best result. So for example, I don't practice kinesiology just because I'm not trained in it, and it would be too subjective for me. It's just not my thing. So then I have experts, colleagues like Dr. Jean, to refer people to. I think homeopathy is brilliant. And for those of you who don't know, homeopathy it is not the umbrella of all holistic health. It's just homeopathy, which is a very specific discipline. And a great homeopathist is amazing. I've seen crazy things from people who really know what they're doing. So I don't practice homeopathy because that's just not my thing. And I do what you do best and outsource the rest. That's why I love the Proactive Health Collective of Keene. That's a whole idea. Allison Millar is not with us right now, but she's a wonderful acupuncturist. Excellent. And so and there's many others beyond us, but knowing and doing things and using, what you think you need in your toolkit is what we encourage. And sometimes, yeah.
When I sit down with someone and the first time we're talking about, here's what the game plan is, I tell them that, what we're going to work on here is some foundational things that, we definitely need to detoxify our body. We definitely need to be eating right. We definitely need to be handling stress in our lives. We definitely be looking at our environment. We definitely need to have, good nutrition. I mean, there's just basic things that we need. And then I end it by saying, but this isn't all you need to do. This is a foundation upon which you need to then continue to work through your whole life. Like you have to be proactive in your health. You can't just well, fix me, go to this practitioner and that practitioner is going to fix me and then I'm done. No, it isn't like that at all. And especially in today's world, there's so much stress, from a tonal standpoint, from a toxicity standpoint, from a malnutrition standpoint. And there's so many, the beautiful thing about it is that there's so many ways that the body will respond positively, and you have to explore those things. And, you shouldn't just see one practitioner and then end it. You need to be giving yourself the opportunity to talk with different people, because everybody has different insights and experiences that they can share with you. And even, meeting someone with a different energy, can be the shift or the change that you need to move your move yourself along in your health journey. So, a holistic approach, a lot of times people come in and like you said, Becky, they think, well, it means natural. I said, well, no, you know what? If I have a headache and I go to the doctor and they say, okay, we're going to give you an aspirin. Well, we don't want that. That's medical.
Right.
But if you go to somebody and say, well, I have a headache, I'm just giving you an herb to make your headache go away without really looking at any other thing, that's the same approach. That's not holistic. That's
Exactly.
natural. And that's okay. It's nothing wrong with that, but it's not holistic. Holistic means you want to look at the big picture. What are
Why
all
are
the
you-
things that contribute?
I will give a good example of what you just said, Dr. Jean, and that is somebody comes in with constipation. So they can, to get unplugged, they can get X-Lax or they can get Botanicalax. They can get an herbal formula. That's not the answer. You need to get things going, but the reason you're constipated isn't a lack of slippery elm bark and senna and Cascara sagrada and mullein and marshmallow root. That's not the thing. So we can use some things naturally in a sort of a pharmaceutical way to deal with the symptom. But it doesn't mean that, no, it's like, why are you constipated? Is it your thyroid? What is going on and why are you? And so we can use some things in a more short-term basis, because if somebody's not moving their bowels, that presents a whole, starts a whole other set of problems. But that's not necessarily the answer.
Yeah, and it's okay. That's a totally great strategy, especially if you can use something natural that's not going to harm you, that can help you. Because again, when you get constipated, now you have a whole bunch of other cascading events that are going to happen, like toxicity and, inflammation and all kinds of stuff that then cause other problems.
Yeah. It's funny that you say that, because like we hear a lot, and even, with close people, around us can say, well, I just need it to be quick. I just want it to be fast, like fast acting, and, or be like, well, maybe you should think about, different approaches, like what you eat and when you eat it, because food is a big, food can make you sick, food can heal you too. And I know we've talked about sugar and how, it's sugar and caffeine, the most socially accepted legalized drug in America, right? And so it's in everything, and that's just kind of how it is. And then you hear all the time, people are like, well, I want to be able to eat what I eat and not have these problems, or I want to be able to do what I want to do and not have this pain. Yet they have a very hard time changing their habits, like, well, maybe we should cut out the sugar in the coffee, and just start with just cream and coffee, or something like that, and try not to do sugar. Well, it just tastes awful. Well, then stop drinking coffee, find something else, like if.
I know you all will disagree with me, but don't stop drinking coffee.
Well,
Okay, but
I'm just saying,
anyway,
it was an
I know what you're
example,
saying.
but yeah. I mean, I'm my body personally, like listening and being like fully connected with my system. I working with you, Dr. Jean, and your protocol, I was off coffee for a good 4 months. And then I didn't actually drink coffee all that much afterwards, maybe a little bit, like maybe a cup or two. I feel like that saved me through my pregnancy, because I still had coffee, but just a little bit. And I couldn't even get through almost, like, not even a cup, like 8 ounces. I couldn't even drink 8 ounces and my body was done. And right now I'm postpartum, and I couldn't drink coffee from week 36, and I haven't drank coffee because my body is saying no. My body is like, I'm going to make you sick. I'm going to make you nauseous, and you're not going to feel good because you don't need this right now. You can come back to it later, but right now is not the time for it. And I'm listening to that. And I mean,
It all depends on everybody's situation. Everybody's a little different in what their body
everybody
likes.
is different, but that's what I'm saying. We have to listening to our body and heeding that, like, well, every time I eat bread, I get really sick, but I really like bread. So I'm just going to keep it. It's like ignoring what your body's trying to tell you.
But you know what? I want to bring up something that you brought that
Yes.
Hold on.
what you were asking about kinesiology. What you're really tapping into is what you're talking about here, Tecia. I believe that if we were all connected enough to ourselves and to our own internal signals, you wouldn't need me in a kinesiology way, because you would know, like, yep, this, I just know, I'm in touch with my internal knowings. And that's one of the great things about network, is that you're getting more in touch with that, your own internal wisdom, to help guide you through the ins and outs. Because you know what, eggs are really good, but they can be tough on some people. And you know, coffee is really good, but can be tough on some people. There's, you know, there's I think there's no one right diet for everybody, and there's no one right diet for everybody through the times in their life. You know, as one of my old mentors, Reggie Gold, used to say, the Chinese say you can't step in the same river twice. Right?
Speaking of
Body
river,
changes. Like, you know, you're not the same as, well, I could do this and now I can't do it. Or, you know, you never know.
and I never had coffee when I was pregnant because caffeine is an issue for pregnancy. So I'm just talking with the coffee thing, I'm talking about a whole different thing. But
I love coffee,
yeah,
by the way.
there are times when you don't do certain things that you would do other times. And I think, again, what Dr. Jean just said is we have an innate wisdom about that if we listen to ourselves. And another thing I wanted to piggyback on was the manifestation, because the way I would articulate what you said was taking authority over a situation. And sometimes that is like, I was like, man, I go to bed, I sleep, I get a great night's sleep, but I wake up and I have a lot of dreams about stuff on my desk that needs doing that hasn't been done. And I get a lot of that kind of thing. And, I talk to God a lot. So I'm like, I would just really, I can think about that in the morning. I don't want to think about it at night, da, 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 da. So I'm going to take authority over my dreams. And I had that night this really cool dream where I was on a toboggan coming down from the house in Stoddard, where, was my vacation home when I was growing up and still is in the family, along Route 9, along Granite Gorge. And I'm like on this toboggan in dirt. And Dale's not on my toboggan. Dale is my husband. But he's behind me. And it was the most wild, wonderful ride. It was thrilling. And I could see, wow, yeah, that's where you need to jump and go like that and do all this stuff. And I'm looking at the person ahead of me going, what a dork, he doesn't know what he's doing, get out of my way. And so, but I'm just talking about that kind of thing. I remember when I was at a conference, herbal conference one time, and I had really bad, I didn't realize at the time that I had endometriosis, but anyway, I had a really bad menstrual period, and I was out biking with a colleague at the conference. And she said to me, just tell it to stop. She said, just tell it to stop. And that kind of thing is kind of like taking authority. And I'm not saying that's the answer to all things, but I do think there's an element of that mind over matter, of that taking control. And I think that's what you were talking about by manifestation.
Yeah, it can be, the power of the mind is so incredible. We can, like I'm saying, we can think ourselves out of situations, like talk ourselves out of situations, or we could talk ourselves into situations, and the most raw experience that I have had just recently, obviously, was giving birth. And I, in the second I started negative talking, like, no, I can't do this. No, I can't, like, it made it worse. It made everything more intense. And then I caught myself realizing that that's what I was doing. And Matt, he's like, did you know you were doing this? And I was like, yeah, because I kept catching myself and it made it worse. And so I was shifting it. And the manifestation or the visualization prior to the experience is very powerful. I did the same thing for my wedding. Like, I was like, I'm getting married in September, but I want July weather. I want it to be partly cloudy and 80 degrees and, and just be beautiful. And every time a day like that happened in July, I was like, this is what I want. I felt it. It was glorious. And I really held it into my physical being and how it felt for me. And I just kept saying, this is what I want. This is how I want my day to go. And being, Matt was like, it's a hit or miss, being in New Hampshire in September, late September, you may or may not get that. And we got a glorious 75 to 80 degree weather day. it's just the power of what you want, the positive thinking, because negative, the universe doesn't care if it's positive or negative. It's whatever you focus on, you're going to get more of. And so, and that's how we talk with people. Like, if you have negative self-talk, you know, or man, I just want to lose weight, I hate the way my body looks, blah, 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 you know, are you gonna lose weight and get healthy that way by constantly thinking in that way? No, you've got to be like, I want to be fit and healthy, and taking small action steps every day to change that mindset, because we hear it all the time. You ask people what they want and all they'll tell you is what they don't want. It's like, well, I don't want debt. I don't want to fight in my relationship. I don't want, you know, to work with these certain people, or I don't want to deal with this. And it's like, okay, well, what do you want? You know, if you didn't have that, what would you want to replace it with? Something you wanted. And so when we do consults with people, we see what's inhibiting them and what they can't do and what would they want more of. And people actually like look at us like, that's a really strange question to ask. And I'm like, right, because we're not your typical doctor to ask you what's wrong and what can I help you get rid of. It's what's working and what can we help you get more of, because that's really what it's about. And so taking authority over your thoughts and saying, I can deal with that in the morning. I want this right now. You know, I want peace and calm. And I want, you know, it's just the mindset over, you know, that self-talk that we usually tend to listen to more so than the positive self-talk.
There's a section in my consultation, again, we ask, you know, about goals. So I want to know what makes people tick. And, you know, a large majority of the time, people are putting what they don't want. You know, I want to lose weight. I want to get out of pain. I want to this, that. And those are, you know, of course, right? Everybody wants that. But I always tell a story about when I was about 16 years old, I was skiing moguls. And for, you know, anybody who's skied moguls, you know, they're the big piles of snow that get kind of built up and then you have to kind of navigate them. And I remember skiing these really challenging moguls, and I would get to one and I'd kind of like scrape down to the next one, and everyone was hard. And I finally decided, you know what, there's a ridge over there and there's about 5 or 6 moguls in between me and that ridge. I'm going to focus on that ridge. And somehow when I did that, I was able to navigate the moguls much easier. And it's like, life is like that. If all you focus on what you don't want, it just makes it so much harder. If you keep your focus, just like you're talking about a vision board, if you keep your focus on what you want, the universe conspires in your favor, right? And also on the other side of that coin is that you can do everything right. I've seen this. You can do everything right physically, eat right, get your, you know, care, get this, get that. If you are in a situation, maybe you're in a job that you hate or whatever, and it keeps you in that negative thought pattern, you're not getting better, because your life isn't working. And as long as your life's not working, you're going to express symptoms because your body's trying to get you to change something, right? So
Yeah.
Really important concept there.
I'd also like to chime in. Not everybody does everything perfectly. And some of the things, we might have some bad habits that we want to hold on to, but there's sometimes some things you can do to offset them. And I think that that's an important thing to know too. Like, I like wine, and alcohol, you know, the poison of alcohol is the acetaldehyde that it's converted to. So what kind of turns that off is vitamin B1. So there's certain things that you can do to enjoy your bad habit, if it's a bad habit, and offset it. Or the things like I remember I used to, when I was a new mother, and, you know, back in my early 30s, I had a medical transcription business, which was really phenomenal because I got to be a fly on the wall of so many doctor office visits and really see what happens in those. Because, you know, the transcriptionist really hears the whole thing. The nurse doesn't, you know, it's like you get the dictation and you hear it and you see how it's being treated. But I worked for a doctor who was an ear, nose, and throat doctor, still is, over in Derry, and he was very holistically minded. And here he does, you know, he deals with all of this stuff and what it would be. And he would say, you know, I'm not encouraging you to smoke, but studies have shown that smokers who take 1,000 milligrams of vitamin C a day have much statistically less lung cancer than non-smokers who don't. So I think that there's that too. It's like, if I'm going to do this, then I need to offset it by that. And I think that there's some wisdom there in that too. It's not like we all have to, oh my goodness, the only way you're gonna be healthy is if you exercise this many hours a day and you eat this diet and you don't ever do this or whatever. We can many times keep the baby and throw out the bathwater.
You're allowed to cheat. I mean, seriously, when I studied nutrition, one of the, and had to encourage people to change their diets and all this stuff. And my biggest thing was, I'm not ever going to tell you to stop eating ice cream, because ice cream's freaking delicious, but that doesn't mean you have to eat a whole tub every day, or even a whole tub every week. Just be nice to yourself. If you were to tell someone that you loved more than anything in the world, this is not good for you. Can you not eat it because it was hurting them? Like, why wouldn't you tell yourself the same thing? Like we always encourage others, don't try not to do that. Or here's an alternative option to this, if you really like it, try something, just modify it a little bit, but you don't have to stop. Because if you told people to stop doing this, like just cold turkey, you wouldn't listen to them. I wouldn't listen to them. If I said that to myself, I wouldn't listen to me. I'm like, no, come on.
I would say some things you have to. There's no way to offset aspartame. So diet soda, there's no way you can get along with your diet soda. There are certain things. And I would say there are more our foods and beverages and all of that kind of things that are chemically based. There's no getting around that. You can have your ice cream, a healthy ice cream, if you're not also going to have donuts and cookies and cake and whatever. You can say, that's my love. Every night I want to have a bowl of ice cream. And you're eating otherwise healthy. That's not going to do that. But if you're talking about things like diet soda, or, do you guys agree with me? Do you know what I'm saying?
I do. I would say, it depends on the clinical situation. So if you're someone who's trying to handle a fungal situation, a bowl of ice cream every night, I don't care if you like it or not, is not going to get you where you want to go. It doesn't mean it's forever. I think sometimes you have to have a period of time where you go through a cleanse or something like that. But I always remember when I was a kid, the saying went something like this: you're better off happy with franks and beans than you are miserable with broccoli and peas, right? Because again, you're getting into like, if you're begrudgingly going, eating in a certain way that you hate, and it creates negativity in you, that's probably worse for you than if you just go ahead and enjoy yourself and your life a little bit. And I think you have to find that balance. I think what happens though, is when you clean your body out and you start eating well, your taste buds change, and then you're making those decisions not from a begrudging place, but from this just feels good to me to eat this wholesome food. Not like, oh God, I wish I could eat McDonald's, but I'm not going to eat it because Dr. Gene tells me I can't eat McDonald's. Like it's got to come from within. And I think so I think there's room, for us to enjoy ourselves and even the things that might not be the greatest, but I like wine. I think you just get into this thing where it's like, well, does your wine have glyphosate in it? And so we run into these problems. It's when you get into food, there's such a wormhole of like what's good and what's not good and how things are prepared, and is that olive oil really olive oil, or is it half processed other oils that are not real. I mean, it's challenging in that way, but I think there's a little room. I agree with you, Becky. I guess is what I'm saying.
I'd like to just offer this one last example. I had a lovely 8-year-old in my office last week or the week before. And the family concern was that all she eats is macaroni and cheese and bagels and cream cheese, and she doesn't whatever. And I knew that I was not going to be able to sit there and convince her that you need to eat better foods. I knew that wasn't going to happen. You can say that as much as you want to an 8-year-old. And, but we did talk about that. But I did offer, now this is where supplements can really come in handy, because I offered a supplement called Attend, which is a homeopathic thing, which is rich in all the nutrients and the fish oil and all that kind of thing. And attention was an issue for her because we need to fill in the gaps. Sometimes we need to fill in the gaps. And for an 8-year-old, I said to her, I said point blank, I will not convince you to eat spinach or anything else. And I said, as you get older, your palate, your taste is going to change. I said, try to be open-minded. I said, but we have to do this. And it was really kind of heartwarming because as she was leaving, she ran over to me and gave me the tightest hug. And I think, you know, I felt that I was able to impart to her respect and for her own choices and not saying, you know, you're going to die if you don't eat vegetables, and not make it a knockdown drag out, but then also offer something that will help fill in the gaps as people, you know, come along.
I think we could have a whole nother subject on children's health maybe in the
Yeah.
future.
Yeah.
The more I learn, the more I'm interested. I'm like, oh, right.
Yeah, especially now, right?
Because now I'm responsible for one.
You got it, girl, already. So I want to say, somebody just said from Kathy to, now you are getting into the meat of the subject, so true about trying to eat foods that you just don't like. You guys are inspiring people to reclaim their health, even if you're not fully aware of your reach. I'm part of the tribe, almost now 2,000 miles away for now and not for long, Louise, I hope. Debbie says yes. So we've had a lot of, somebody says proactive health collective of Keene, thank you. Somebody says, what makes you sick is what makes you tick. Ayurvedic medicine widely practiced in my country from Thangamani. So we've had a lot of, we're running out of time, but we've had a lot of feedback and we'll review that. And that gives us fodder for the next sessions.
Awesome.
Absolutely. Thank you.
Well, I thoroughly enjoyed the time with you all today.
Yeah.
Yeah, thanks. And I just want to give a quick shout out to our guest speaker who's coming up on, what are we talking, April 16th. So in 2 weeks from now, her name is Dot Maver. She is, gosh, she's become a good friend of mine. And I really, really love what she's doing on this planet. It's not so much, she's not a health practitioner, but she's definitely more into the mindset and meditation world globally. She is responsible for a ton of different things. Matt took my phone, so I don't have my little bio, sorry, Dot. But we'll put it up on Facebook. But basically, her goal is creating conditions for the culture of peace. And so she is part of the Global Silent Minute, just a meditation, worldly meditation group that really helps bring good energy and good vibes to the world. I actually did one right before, or I participated in one right before the election. And I went into the election like that week of just complete serenity. I was like, okay, whatever happens, happens, and it's going to be okay. And I could feel people's tension in their spines, how it changed when they were on the table for that week. It was crazy. Everybody was like kind of the same tension pattern because they're like, we don't know what's going to happen. And it was a very wild week. And I was blessed to not have that mindset or that feeling in my body. And so she works with things through peace. She works with peace, silence. Her work is also entailed with cleaning house through politics. And then she does TK, I forget what she said it was, but her work is working with people. Do you guys know what TK? I forget. I feel really bad. Sorry, Dot. But it's a kinesiology, transcendental kinesiology, I believe. It's fascinating. So she's going to be our speaker, and one of her main points is like, right now it's challenging times and we need to rise up and meet these challenging times to make not only ourselves but the world and our culture so much better and capable of handling it. So super excited to have her on the show with us on April 16th.
Awesome.
Cool. So, all right. Well, thanks everybody for joining us today, and thanks for letting me share my story, and really appreciate you guys as always.
Everyone, thank you. Have a wonderful
Have a great week.
Bye.
Bye.